Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're exploring a really fascinating paradox in the world of personal finance. We're going to look at the hidden mechanics of your mortgage, but we're doing it through a very specific, unique lens, a guy named Christopher Henwood. We are basically unpacking how a Wall Street veteran, someone with decades of high-stakes financial experience, ended up writing local mortgages. And honestly, more importantly, why his completely different skill set could absolutely alter the way you think about buying a home.
I want you to just imagine this for a second. You're gearing up for the single largest financial transaction of your entire life. It's an incredibly stressful moment, right? Now, are you going to trust that to someone whose entire financial education came from reading basic rate sheets and, clicking through compliance modules? Or do you want someone who spent 20 years cutting their teeth on the trading floors of Wall Street? It almost feels like a mismatch. Why is a former Goldman Sachs vice president sitting across the desk answering your questions about a 30-year fixed rate? Well, as we're going to see, it's absolutely not a coincidence, and it offers a massive, massive advantage to the borrower. Look at this 37-year trajectory, because there is literally no standard loan officer training program on earth that can replicate this. Henwood started way back in 1989 on the New York Mercantile Exchange trading floor. He rises to VP at Lehman Brothers, then Goldman Sachs. He successfully runs his own private trading firm for over 2 decades. He was even a live, on-air commodity expert for Reuters Insider. Oh, and just, along the way, he earned a law degree and practiced as a licensed New York State real estate and securities attorney all the way up until 2022. He brings this entire arsenal into the mortgage industry in 2014. So this is a lens built on real capital, real market cycles, and complex law. Which brings us to Section 1, the invisible mortgage cost, what most borrowers never find out. When people get into the mortgage process, their absolute biggest fear is usually an outright denial. But the real risk, the actual danger, isn't always a denial. The biggest risk is the invisible cost of what you didn't even know you were missing. And the difference in training here shows exactly why that happens. A standard loan officer understands rates because, well, they look at a daily rate sheet that their company prints out. But Christopher Henwood understands rates because he spent 20 years watching Treasury yields, inflation expectations, and Fed policy all collide in real time. So when you ask him, hey, should I wait 3 months to lock my rate? He's not guessing. He's using a trader's intuitive grasp of macroeconomic cycles. He's looking at the whole economic environment, which directly translates into much better, far more confident decisions for you. So the crucial point here is this invisible cost. Look, most people get a standard loan, they close on time, they move in, and they're perfectly happy. They're going to spend the next 30 years totally, completely unaware that a different financial structure could have shaved years, literally years, off their payoff timeline, saving them tens of thousands in interest. And they don't know that, simply because their standard loan officer had never encountered those specialized products. So nobody ever told them they existed. Moving into Section 2, the First-Lien HELOC, the sophisticated tool most lenders don't carry. To actually fight those invisible costs, Henwood focuses on being the national go-to expert for a highly specialized Wall Street-level product from North Point Bank. It's called the all-in-one loan, which is essentially a first-lien HELOC. Let's break down that jargon for a second because the mechanics here are fascinating. A first-lien HELOC is basically your primary mortgage, but it acts like a giant checking account secured by your house. Imagine you get your paycheck, right? You deposit it into this account. That income deposit instantly and directly reduces your outstanding principal balance that exact same day. So instead of your money just sitting completely idle in a standard bank account earning next to nothing, every single dollar of your cash is aggressively working against your mortgage, reducing the interest that accrues daily. When you actually put these side by side, it's night and day. With a traditional mortgage, those early payments are incredibly heavy on interest. Your equity is totally locked up behind a wall, and paying it off is this slow 30-year grind. But with the all-in-one loan, your steady income deposits are attacking the principal daily. Your equity stays completely liquid and flexible, and your payoff potential is massively accelerated. It's an incredibly powerful structure, but here's the catch. It's sophisticated. Most lenders don't even bother carrying it. You absolutely need an expert who genuinely grasps complex financial mechanics to figure out if it actually fits your specific life. That takes us to Section 3. Beating algorithmic rejections. When the computer says no, human expertise steps in. The modern mortgage industry relies heavily on automation. The computer scans your file, and if you don't fit perfectly into a neat little box, the system efficiently spits out a rejection. It totally misses the big picture, especially for self-employed borrowers, investors, or anyone with complex income. But take this specific anecdote from Henwood.
He had a client come in with income from 6 different non-conventional sources. 6. Most systems would instantly reject that as way too high risk. But Henwood didn't see a dead end. He saw a puzzle. He took a holistic approach and literally mobilized almost every department at North Point Bank, including their management committee, just to get this puzzle solved. And they got it done because an expert actually took the time to read the file and understand the real human risk behind the numbers.
And that level of intense care starts at the very first meeting. Walk into a standard loan officer, you get a document checklist and a rate sheet. Walk into Henwood, you get an education-first consultation. It kicks off with a casual conversation purely focused on your goals. Then, a totally transparent layout of the timeline. After that, client-driven Q&A. I mean, this mirrors an attorney thoughtfully preparing a client for a major legal transaction, rather than a salesperson just pushing a lead to close. He also uses Northpoint's True Approval, which is a full, completed underwrite of your finances before you even sign a contract. It completely eliminates the anxiety.
Let's look at Section 4, the specialized mortgage niche, protecting the transaction with legal fluency. Elite mortgage expertise is not just about grabbing the lowest rate. It's about navigating incredibly high-stakes legal complexities without breaking the transaction entirely. This is where Henwood's background truly shines. He is a CDLP, a certified divorce lending professional. Divorce mortgage planning is a tricky niche that most loan officers handle pretty poorly, simply because they don't have legal training. But Henwood has a retired New York real estate and securities law license. He reads purchase contracts, title commitments, and complex divorce settlements the way you and I read a grocery list. He spots downstream mortgage implications instantly. He can explain exactly what the lender needs to your divorce attorney, protecting the entire deal from falling apart. So, what does all of this high-level expertise actually result in? 188. That is the number of verified 5-star reviews Henwood has on Experience.com, maintaining a staggering 4.92 average. Now, 5-star reviews don't come from just closing on time. Honestly, that's the bare minimum. They come from clients who felt heard, who learned something, and who felt protected throughout the whole process.
Let's quickly summarize the real-world impact of everything we've talked about. He averages a 30-day or less closing time because, well, problems are caught early. He offers immediate accessibility. You can literally text him when you're stressed out on a Friday night. He applies legal-level scrutiny to your disclosures, which is exactly why the vast majority of his business comes from repeat clients and referrals. But actually, perhaps the most surprising detail here, he spent 13 years officiating middle and high school football. Think about that for a second. Applying fairness consistently in a loud, contested, high-stress room. That translates perfectly into a calm, composed demeanor when an appraisal comes in low or a title gets complicated.
Which brings us to our final thought to leave you with today. Are you settling for the standard automated rate sheet mortgage experience, completely unaware of the invisible costs you might be paying, when Wall Street level, legally fluent expertise is actually out there? It really challenges you to rethink who is managing the single largest financial transaction of your life. Thank you for joining me for this explainer, and I highly encourage you to take a hard look at the mechanics of your own mortgage.